So the good news is for everybody that
just real quick,
yeah.
real quick. So real quick.
Yeah, all of you guys. So tired of it.
It's just so funny because you go real quick and you like hold on like shut up. That's what it
No, I'm getting people's attention.
No, I know, but you
guys got me all wrong.
I was just gonna say, so once I get
You know why? It's because I'm scared I'm gonna forget. It's
I know
how my brain works.
I know, yeah. But you can have a little notepad.
I'm
real
surrounded by pads. I'm surrounded like you want to look at my notes? You want to see what goes on here? You want to see?
Less than an hour.
All right, then let's fucking stop rapping. Yeah.
Guys, we're doing both episode 122. I don't know if it'll be in focus.
That's okay.
122.
Just look at all the notes. Look at all the prep we've done for you guys.
And that, I don't even know what that means except that I'm a Virgo. That I need this to be, I need 122 and 123.
I was ready to boogie on to 123 and Laura's like, but we don't have 122. We do technically.
We do, but if you go on YouTube, it's not there, and so it bothers me. So we have to do 122, 123. But the conundrum is that we're not doing 10 questions because we only have 50 minutes right now to shoot.
So this is really
so we
like
a speed round. I could just. This is the thing, because there's no notes. Are you looking for a glass of wine?
No, I'm looking for the right word, which is basically that we're bullshitting you guys.
We're bullshitting.
Right? We're saying like we're gonna do 2 episodes. Right. The reality is we just wrote 2 episodes down, but we're not gonna do 2 episodes. Just to create some clarity here, there's a big difference between saying like Q&A 122 and 123, but we'll do 5 questions and have a great day.
It's a big freaking lie. So why don't we do 10 questions?
No,
oh
we
gosh,
don't have time.
I'm so excited.
We don't have time.
No, we could do a speed round, 10 questions.
I would rather us do great questions for people than 10.
No, because we may answer really great answers in like 3 minutes or 2 minutes.
All right, then the gauntlet's thrown down.
All right.
Sorry about the jumping Pomeranians.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Am I allowed to drop F-bombs on?
You are. It's just a pain for me because I gotta go.
Do you have to cut them out?
I think so. I think YouTube might have an issue.
I don't know. I see Gary Vee constantly streaming F-bombs.
Oh, that's true.
But I don't know if he's doing promotions on his post.
Cujo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I give you the first question and then make it easy for you, or no?
Please. Yes.
Okay. So guys, some other stuff that went down is so real
quick. Actually,
like, first of all, like explain to them why real quick is a thing.
Oh, because that T3, all
this.
Sean does is say real quick, real quick. Let's make sure this is still on.
Make sure what? It's still on?
Oh yeah, it's still on.
Yo, this is still on trick. So real quick,
Sean
while I find
says
this.
real quick, and then he talks for 20 minutes, and that's kind of like.
That's hurtful.
It's not hurtful. It's real.
It's hurtful. It's a little hurtful. Only because the reason. Here we go. The reason that I say real quick is because I have an idea, usually inspired by these geniuses, but I don't have the memory bank that they do. And if I don't say something real quick, it'll be gone.
But you can also have the ability
and Laura's like, you can have like a notepad. I'm like, do you realize how many notes I write during T3? My binder's filled. I've got notes. I'm taking them in my iPhone.
I know.
I know. Let's give a dude with a little bit of a challenge brain some credit.
No, you don't have a challenge brain. That's just all a myth. Okay.
Just real quick.
So let's talk about the book cover real quick.
Yes.
And IG stories.
Real quick.
So now we're at 5 minutes.
Okay.
45.
So the book cover, guys, is if all goes right. We think it's going to go right. We're working with 99 Designs, which is an awesome really like platform. Cool, if anybody needs design work, we've got so many great book covers, but one we're crazy about.
One stood out.
Yeah, we're ready. So now we're looking for the back cover of it to be done, and then some small detail tweaks, and then we'll actually maybe we'll leak it on the next Q&A or whatever when we actually have a graphic of it.
If it comes
to pass. But I'm telling you guys, you're gonna pee your pants. There might be some wet spots on the couch. Yeah, because people are going to be like, holy crap, this is a great looking cover. Anyway, so that's
a great looking book. Thank you.
Well, hopefully there'll be some quality content in there too. We spent all our time on the cover. Inside is just a bunch of doodles, you know, not my dog doodles, doodles, just doodles of Laura's, like petals of like, you know, she does a lot of flowers and things like that, but they're very personal work. Anyways, that's going on. Follow me on IG stories, guys. I'm doing some really fun stuff. There's a petal right there. In case anybody wants to know what everything looks like that Laura like touches. IG stories is the tiny little circle at the top if you're on Instagram, and I tried to explain this on Facebook today for any of you old fogies who aren't caught up with it, who I was one of them. And it's just a little circle, and you'll see me and Manny in it. If you press on it, then you'll get to see the actual stories, and the stories are 10 seconds long, little clips at the longest, and you can have a whole bunch of them. And basically, I tell little stories, like it's almost like a vlog, a video blog, and we tell stories, and we get into what I like to think are funny moments, and sometimes wise moments, and sometimes just silly. Like I'll be sitting in my car singing like Jamiroquai songs and annoying the crap out of people and things like that.
Oh wow, that's
so
awesome.
But there's also like cool dog training stuff and everything like that. So follow me on Instagram stories, which is the Good Dog Training, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, and with that, I think we're ready to roll with this jalopy of a
It's gonna be crazy.
Okay.
So we're just gonna do as many questions as we can in 40 minutes, basically.
Yeah. We've got no notes.
No notes. I'm gonna set the timer each time.
Oh God, this is filled with whiskey.
3 minutes. Is 3 minutes good? 4 minutes?
Oh, 3 minutes is great.
3 minutes is great. Or should we do 4?
Because you know me, usually in like 5 minutes I'm done.
Yeah, right.
Let's just go. 3 minutes is what it is.
Okay.
I need limitations, create. But what's the word? Limitations, spark innovation.
Oh, love it. All right. Monique French, question number
TM.
1. No, I'm sure that's somewhere.
Oh, no.
Hi, Sean and Laura. I lost my senior Dane a month ago. I haven't noticed much of a reaction in my 9-month-old Dane, other than to my sadness, except that she seems overly nervous about the slightest things.
Yeah.
Being nervous isn't new for her, but now she startles at everything, even things she didn't before. A particular leaf in the yard, a pine cone, a broom standing like.
Is that her flying in right now? For a personal assessment? Sorry,
No,
go ahead.
It's fine.
Sorry.
So she's just been like totally freaking out. She's on leash and prong until we can get a consistent recall. So I'll call her back to face the boogie monster that she leapt away from. She'll reach her nose as far in as she can without moving her feet. And then when it doesn't attack, she's over it, basically.
Yeah.
We're following your e-collar program. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So I've already read this. Her name's Monique, right?
Monique.
9-month-old Dobie?
Yes.
So here's the deal. So if you do research and stuff, you'll find out there's fear periods in dogs. Definitely some folks say there's a third period. I don't really agree with it being like a third fear period. And if anybody's got any problems, like I'm ready to do a few rounds, right? Yep. Here's the deal. What happens is that as dogs start to move towards sexual maturity, you're going to see a lot of behaviors that might have been, latent's not the right word, is it? Like kind of like
under the surface.
Yeah. Ooh, is latent right?
Yeah, latent's right.
Look at that. So behaviors that are going to be latent under the surface, behaviors that, like I think she said she'd seen nervousness, she'd seen consistently, you'd seen small emanations of what now you're seeing at a larger degree. And this is what we see all the time with dogs. So between like typically it's like a year to 3 years, like that's when but like a year and a half to 2 years is like the golden zone. So yours might be like moving into it a little bit sooner. Laura mentioned like also along with like some of the grief going on with losing your other dog. There might be some looseness and some leadership gaps going on.
Maybe like putting more softness onto the 9-month-old.
More pressure on the dog, just emotionally, things like that. But what I'd really like you to think about and kind of like, so you can get yourself out of a weird mode of like, that this is something strange or related to your other dog passing, is most likely, if I was a betting man, I would be betting that this has to do with maturation, and what you're seeing is behaviors that you've seen smaller versions of starting to come to the fore in their bigger, more, not manifested, what's the word? in their more expressed, you know, in their
realized.
Yes, thank you. In their more realized kind of form, and we see it all the time. Fear stuff. Dogs that were nervous a little bit, now they're really nervous. Dogs were a little fearful. Now they're really fearful. Dogs that were like suspicious about people, now they're really suspicious. So that's what I think you probably got going on, and all you can do with this is work your butt off, lead your dog, give him good structure, give him good rules, accountability, all of our usual stuff. Follow the program. Don't be disheartened. Don't be discouraged. I know it's a hard time for you with the loss of your other dog, but this is a time where your other dog needs you. Step up and do the right thing, and that's really all you can do with dogs when they're in a challenging spot, is lead them into a better spot.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Cool.
Good luck.
Wow, look at you. You killed that. No lies.
Well, if we get 10 questions done, it's no lies.
It's not a lie.
If we get down with 5.
Yeah. Question number 2 comes from Leslie. Leslie says, I have a bit of an issue with my dog. I've had him for 3 months. He's 2 and came from a farm where he had no rules. Oh, wait, no. Is this the one we did last week?
This is where the system breaks down.
Oh, shoot. No, we did this last week with Jeffrey, right?
Do you want to do a different answer?
Oh my gosh.
Whoever
I liked it. I liked it, so we definitely did it last week.
Okay.
Shoot.
Guys, this is where things get questionable. Anybody ever?
I thought there was 1 week that we did.
Anybody ever seen the Hindenburg
trials? What?
That one wasn't even set up, but boy, did that one just pay off big. Boy, did that one pay off big. All you guys out there, like, I know there's some snickering going on right now. Don't you dare cut that out. Yes, Charles Hindenburg. Famous pilot, Charles Hindenburg.
No, I'm thinking of the Nazi trials.
You're thinking of the Nazi trials? It gets better, guys. If I'm not mistaken, like I'll pull back into some deep history. If I'm not mistaken, Hindenburg was one of the commanders, admirals, or generals in World War I Germany. Thus, the Hindenburg. Do you know what the Hindenburg was?
No.
Do you know the phrase "Oh, the humanity"?
Yeah.
Do you know where that comes from?
The Hindenburg.
Yeah, the Hindenburg shouted that out. Right as it was crashing, the Hindenburg was like, "Oh, the humanity!" Now, the Hindenburg was, much like the Titanic, a gigantic dirigible. And it was, I can't remember if it was taking off, landing. Heisenberg.
Breaking Bad.
Okay, so we got very different things going on. But real quick, just to wrap this little history lesson up, the Hindenburg was
the
like
Lindenbergh trial.
Right, he was a pilot.
No, there's a Nazi reference here.
So Charles Lindenberg, I think if I'm not mistaken, his kid was kidnapped and held for ransom.
There's something.
Give me my child back, right? So you could tie that one in.
Give me back my son.
Right? Maybe that's where that came from. I hope I'm getting my references right. What are you talking about, by the way?
There's some trials
So, see, are you talking about like World War II? Like, I know what you're talking about.
What is it?
It's not the Hindenburg. It's the Nuremberg trial.
Yes, that's it. Yes, I was just writing Nazi trials into Google. The Nuremberg trials.
Okay.
What's wrong?
That was a long road to get there. That was a long road to get there.
Right? Nazis? Trials?
You're right that they're Nazis, but that was the question was the Hindenburg, and then that went to Lindenberg, who was a pilot.
Which one to Heisenberg?
That went to Heisenberg, which I thought Heisenberg had something to do with like printing press, or if I'm not mistaken.
Heisenberg. No, that's Breaking Bad.
I think there might be one before Breaking Bad.
Oh, and then Nuremberg trial.
Yeah.
We went down the Bergs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy.
All right.
So, and we're going to close out the show with that.
Question number 2 comes from IG, from Life with Spunky. Life with Spunky says,
But you did answer the question of who jumped the shark.
That was
like,
good.
I'm just like, I'm sorry about the F-bomb, but like the way
I killed it.
It almost seemed like a setup because you were so lost, and then you pulled out the name and the leather jacket.
And
like,
everything.
I think I asked Shelby that, and Shelby was like,
No, there's no way Shelby, because it's an old reference for me. And Shelby's like 20 years younger than me.
They don't teach that at Mount Caramel.
Question number 2 comes from Life with Spunky.
Inside joke. Yeah.
Life with Spunky says, "What is your opinion?"
I'm worried about this already.
Clicker training.
What's my experience or opinion? Oh. Okay, so clicker training can be an awesome thing. Clicker is just a marker. A clicker, basically, like, you can use a clicker, you can use verbal markers. Like, if you hear us when we're working with the dog and we teach a dog sit, like, if you've watched any of our videos, you've seen us have a dog, like, whatever command we're doing, right? And we're going to use sit. Sit.
I'm sure she knows what clicker training is, right? No. Okay, sorry.
But maybe some other people don't.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I shoot. I shoot wide and then I go narrow. I shoot wide, then I go narrow, right?
You just have less time to do both
but
of those.
okay. So anyways, so those are markers, right? You can use a verbal marker, yes, good, whatever. We use good typically. A lot of trainers use yes, that's a marker. A clicker is also a marker. Basically, it tells the dog that thing you did right then I like. That thing is what I want more of, and you'll get paid. It's a bridge, right? So the dog, say you're trying to teach the dog to spin around, and the dog starts to, like, you're luring the dog with food, and the dog goes like this, spins a little bit, click, and the dog goes, oh, cool. Then payment, right? So that's a bridge. The click tells the dog, I like what you did right then, bridges to the food payment, and then the dog's like, cool, and then you slowly build that. Now, my opinion on clickers are that, for one, my dog Oakley hated them. He was terrified of them. Like, I had a giant pity who would, like, run out of the house if I was like, let's do clicker training. And he's like, ah, right? So I taped it up and it still wouldn't work for him. What I found was just doing food training with my guys early on, and then verbal markers worked like a charm. And with Belle, like, they wanted to use, this is a good thing, they wanted to use clicker training to teach Belle flyball. There was a guy who was very he was very talented, and he was really into clicker training and by the freaking book. And he had a pole with a marker. He was like a target pole, and he's like, I'm going to teach Belle now by using operant condition. And I was like, give me her freaking ball, and I will teach her how to do this in 5 minutes.
You have literally 1 minute to
I know.
tell you, no, 50 seconds.
Just you. Anyways.
What's your opinion on it?
Anyways, but that's what I'm getting at, right? So I've taught a lot of things with just by using other motivational kind of things and stuff like that have worked very well for me. We don't use clickers here because clickers are something that you have to have in your hand all the time. We find verbal markers to work just as good as clickers. I know there's differing opinions. I know guys like Gary Wilkes are very opinionated about, like, a clicker is a very precise thing that doesn't have any vocal inflections, things like that can make it hard. It's very neutral, very precise, but we find that we don't need them, and basically it's super easy to train a dog with a verbal marker of, like, that's what I like. So we don't use clickers, but if you use them and you like them and they work for you and your dog, then I think they're awesome. So it's like I'm wide open to it. I'm wide open to it. I just know for us, we don't need them. For the dogs we turn out, they look great. They
look great. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks,
sorry about the meandering story.
No, it was great.
If you wouldn't have interrupted me, I might have wrapped that up right on time. Notice there's a lack of trust.
Well, it's usually lack of trust comes from previous experience. All right.
You hear that? It's not nice. We're going to call this the not nice episode.
It's the authentic episode.
Can you tell me who committed suicide at the Nuremberg trial to escape trial?
Give me the first letter of their name.
I can't do that. It'll come to me. I do, but it'll come to me. That question just caught me off guard.
All right. Question number 3 comes from Divine Canines.
When are you going to answer some of these?
Oh, I can do this one.
Okay.
Divine Canine says, what advice would you give someone in the dog industry, not a behavior trainer, that has had to hide balance training? It's interesting, right?
Oh, yeah. I've read this question.
Industry, not a behavior trainer, so maybe daycare.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they mean. They don't get into it probably on purpose.
All right. The backlash from pure positive extremists has forced others in their industry out. Divine Canines. What advice would you give someone in the dog industry who's not a behavior trainer? Well, I would give them the same advice that I would give a behavior trainer because it's kind of the same thing. Now, a behavior trainer has a trainer, I guess, the dog trainer has the great thing that they get to show what results they get from balance training. So it's kind of like, hey, if you can touch me and my results, then do your thing. Right. That's the one thing that we have that maybe if you were either a vet office or a daycare or a dog walking service, which is what maybe you're talking about, one of those things, that you don't necessarily have that potential, right?
Yeah.
So a daycare, but what potential do you have? So if you're a daycare and you're, you know, the reason why you do use balance training methods are to keep the dogs more calm during the day so that they can have a better, more comfortable life, or that nervous dogs can, you know, can live happier during the day, then you need to show that. You need to show whoever it is, you know, show videos on that and explain and put your shit out there instead of trying to hide it. I find that pure positive people come to the Good Dog page and do their thing.
Yeah.
But far less than if we were trying to keep everything under the coat, I think.
Yeah.
I'd hear a lot of people that keep things like to themselves and it only gets out here and there, that pure positive people come down super hard on them because they're like, oh, I see some weakness. I see that you're actually nervous about this, so let me dive in and grab this. But we're super open about it, and we don't have people picketing outside the house. What are you looking at?
I'm just...
Suicide at Nuremberg?
I'm just pissed off. My phone won't give me any Google anything.
Okay.
Did you sabotage it?
No.
Did you set it up so I can't search anything?
So I would say showing videos and putting your stuff totally out there. I mean, why are you using balance training methods? Yeah, Pure Positive would force you out. Pure Positive has forced people out of doing balance training, but that's because it's like, you have to tell the story of why you use it so that you don't have like backlash. You know, they can't argue with our results.
Yeah, I think what you were saying, like why we don't have people picketing out here and things like, not that we don't get hassled and have people through social media and like on our YouTube say nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is like when people keep coming here and getting good results and being served well, like it's pretty hard to argue with it.
And if you're not even coming to us and you're just watching our videos and you're seeing that dogs are happy and they're getting trained and all that stuff, it's really hard to be like, they're evil, because we're not, you know? So I would just say, as any other industry, just put your stuff out there, be totally open about it, and make tons of videos on it to show why you use the methods.
I think the video is crucial.
Yeah, video is really crucial.
Because you can talk, like, just like Pure Positive folks, we have this show me, don't tell me thing, which like pure Positive folks can talk all sorts of stuff, and so can balance trainers. But you got to show what you can do, and you know what? Human beings see that, and the marketplace goes, I want that because it works.
Right.
That's the only thing that's going to change. I'm okay with this going 30 seconds over. The only thing that's going to change the way people view tools and what tools we're allowed to use and what training is the marketplace, which is dog owners, not freaking dog trainers. Yeah. It's dog owners going, I want that because it works.
Yep. And
I believe it.
Thick skin.
I believe it here.
Ban and delete, baby.
Yeah.
Ban and delete.
Okay. Go ahead. I can see his face. He was a big chunky monkey. He was in charge of the Luftwaffe. And everybody else here that's watching this is like yelling and screaming what his name was, and it's driving me insane. But the interesting part of the story was he befriended the guy at the prison. This is such a fascinating story. He's the only one, if I'm not mistaken, who escaped being hung because he managed to commit suicide. So he got the guy. He charmed him, the guy who was his prison guard, to get his piece of his luggage out of storage.
Ooh, so he could kill himself?
Because he had cyanide, if I'm not mistaken, hidden away.
Did he want to die dignified? Is that kind of it?
Yeah, he didn't want to go. He didn't want to get hung. He didn't.
Robert Lay?
No, he's a great director, Robert Lay. No, I'm just kidding.
Robert Lay committed suicide within a week of the trials.
Oh wow! So maybe I've never heard his name. I don't even know who he is. I was thinking of whatchamacallit, Bay.
Michael Bay?
Yeah, no.
Awaiting trial, he committed suicide.
That's awesome, but you know they're going to be talking about the big dude because he wasn't famous. The big dude that's famous...
Hitler.
No, yes. Hitler was famous, but one of his right. So there was Bormann, and there was Goebbels.
Yeah, you know all this stuff too.
I spent a lot of time with the History Channel when it was just like the Nazi channel.
Oh yeah.
Before they got any other programming, they were like, "We'll just be the Nazi channel."
Yeah.
Who do you got?
Hermann Göring.
That's him.
Was that him?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah, he was the big
Yeah.
ruddy faced.
And it, is it?
He founded the Gestapo.
Do I have it right? Was he? Yeah.
Yeah, he
Beginning Luftwaffe film.
He committed suicide by ingesting cyanide the night before the sentence was.
Boom!
Wow, you're good.
Herman, man, that was a hard one to pull out. Jeez Louise.
Question number 4 comes from.
Isn't that fascinating, though? Mm-hmm. It's a fascinating story that he managed to get the guy to bring his luggage. Can you imagine the ass kicking that guard got, letting one of the biggest, he was one of the biggest well-known Nazis, letting him get away from justice? Oh man, I can't imagine the ass kicking that went down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was just luggage. He needed jammies.
I'm sorry, I didn't finish my lunch.
That's okay. Somebody will be pissed off at you. This goes out to you. Anyway, let's rock, because we are super late.
Zenergy Dog Training says...
Is this the same person? Because she just asked you about...
No, that was Divine Canine.
Oh, okay.
Zenergy Dog Training question number 4 says, we got a 1-year-old border collie who came into our boot camp for severe aggression towards other dogs and all the common crappy behavior stuff.
Yeah.
I love that they use your terminology, crappy behavior. At the beginning of the 3rd week,
spreading like a plague.
Her obedience is immaculate. Very tuned in, very engaged, awesome. Totally off-leash trained, bulletproof recall.
Wow.
She auto-sits when stopping on the walk. She automatically gives polite, quiet moments when we're asking for it at all thresholds.
How do you teach all that?
Exiting the crate, she waits perfectly. She'll give you a polite, quiet moment and we'll hold it with fixed eye contact. But no matter how long we have her wait, she wants to burst out of her crate on the release command. We've corrected for this on the e-collar, but afterwards she doesn't want to leave the crate, especially when recalled on the e-collar. Recommendations.
That can be a challenging one.
Yeah.
What I would typically do, so we don't have the info for sure. So the question is, are they putting the tools on and then recalling her out?
Right.
Then that's an automatic
well, I think they're releasing her. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tools or no tools, do you mean?
I think with tools.
With tools. So I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
So if I had a dog that's bursting, boy, like when I think of bursters, like I don't like bursters. So she said they're doing.
She's good.
She said they're doing like the crate. Are they doing the crate shut?
I don't think they do that.
So let's think of like the simple stuff. They're using e-collar, things like that, right? And then they're saying the dog doesn't want to come out, right?
If he gets corrected.
Right, because the dog's like, oh crap, I'm not supposed to come out. So, boy, this is a tough one without knowing all the details. But
would you crate? I would not use a release word.
Yeah. So if you watch our crate video of how we use it, even though Mac is not like a really challenging dog, you still get the mechanics of it, which is basically you're trying to create an inhibition. You're trying to create an inhibition of like charging out a dog that's like got an arousal thing, like blah blah blah, or it's been conditioned that when it hears like let's go, free, break, whatever, that's what it's supposed to do. You might have a dog that's confused, thinking it's supposed to do that. Then you correct it, and it's like, shit, I don't know what's going on here, right? So here's what we do. And this may or may not be helpful for you, but it's very helpful for us. So first of all, we make sure nobody rushes out of the crate. We don't do any words or anything like that. We open the crate door, we step back, we create the invitation being like no spatial pressure, let the dog make the decision. And then we'll hook a line if the dog doesn't already have a long line on them. We'll hook a line or a leash on them, even if we're going to put tools on the dog inside the crate. And then we'll say, let's go. But now we've got a tool, a manual physical tool on the dog, and we'll guide the dog out slowly. If the dog jams out of the crate, the dog goes right back in the crate. And we will repeat this exercise until the dog comes out as a nice, polite gentleman or lady. But the trick is, if you're just using e-collar, the challenge with e-collar, it's so great in so many ways, but like trying to create that kind of like trying to create that, like, as the dog's coming out motion wise, trying to create that information of like, hey, slow down, do this. Like, you could attempt to like be at lower levels, press and hold, and find just the magic spot where the dog's like, that's just enough pressure to slow me down. But I'm telling you, that's virtually impossible. That you're talking about like incredibly high levels of not just expertise, but luck. You know what I mean? Like find a dog that would work with.
Yeah.
Put a leash on the dog, put a long line on the dog, and whether it's to prong or whether it's to flat buckle or whatever, you can put the e-collar on, you can do your whole thing, but say, you know, and I might even change the release word. I'm a big fan of like, if let's go or free or any of these are all juiced up and charged with association, then I would say like,
pizza.
Now we rock, or whatever it's going to be, right? Hermann Goering, and like you like guide the dog out. The
Hermann Goering?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
That was the guy we were just talking about.
Oh.
Baby brain. And he's the guy who flew the planes and, you know. Anyways, suicide and all that stuff. Anyways, so that's what I do. Put a leash on so you've got some control of the dog. And then if you get any jamming in and out, just repeat the command. It's always the answer. Repeat, repeat, repeat until the dog goes, oh, that's what you want. That's what you want. But don't use a lot of charged up energy. Don't use excitement with your voice. Don't use come. Don't lose. Like, you can't do any of that stuff and expect a dog not to come blowing out if you're using a release, anything like that. And I know I don't have all the information, so I don't know for sure. But the best thing you can do is put a tool on the dog and guide the dog out at the speed and pace that you want. Use a word that doesn't have loaded association. And I hope that helps. Do you know anything about the Mossad? Do you know that they're like the Israeli Secret Service, or not Secret Service, like FBI, CIA, and they like when they go like for any of these like Nazi, they're like called Nazi hunters. Any of these like Nazis that have escaped like to South America, and I want to say it's Eichmann. Who got down to Argentina, which I think was a big location, like a big landing spot for a lot of ex-Nazis, like, hey, I'm ex. And like, let me tell you, the Mossad doesn't F around. Like, if there's a lot of other agencies I'd want after me before the Mossad. The Mossad, yeah, they came down, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Eichmann, came down and actually followed him around and I'm gonna have to say it. They followed him, found him wherever they found him, like on the way back to his house, like over your head, you know, like kidnapping style, like a burlap sack over your head, into the trunk of the car, boom, private plane, boom, you're out. Next thing you know, you find your ass in Israel.
Ooh.
And guess what? It's trial time. Yeah. So the Mossad doesn't have around.
So a trial.
Well, when I mean, it's just an awesome story because he got away with it for so long, and then was living this, like, you know, I'm sure he felt like shit and had, you know, like
demons.
hopefully there were demons and guilt that were like challenging him,
but he was still living.
He was living in fucking South America, like, I'm sure, which wasn't the worst life. And all of a sudden they show up and it's like, guess whose ass is getting kidnapped and then sent back to Israel for a little vacation, complimentary style. And
for your trial.
Trial. We'll see you at trial, buddy. So, but don't mess with the Mossad.
Oh, wow, okay. This guy is a wealth of knowledge. I'm telling you. When we went to the World War II Museum, I didn't even read any of the things. You just looked, you glanced down, you said, okay, let me tell you. And you just went down the line.
Well, I know some of the stuff.
You know a lot.
One of the best books ever is Winston Churchill's Memoirs of World War II.
Yeah.
Boy, was he amazing. An amazing writer, amazing memory, and a funny as hell guy.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's a hard book to read because it's so big, but boy, has it got some juicy information.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good story if it's in, I can't remember if it's in there, about him like coming out of his, I think I told you, coming out of his bathtub naked, and FDR like had rolled in for a meeting, and
he's like, hey.
Churchill's like, hey, how are you doing? Let's talk state politics. Or
That's such a British thing.
Right.
You know?
Is it?
Yeah. Feels like it. Very like
if
casual.
He had a stogie and like a glass of whiskey and he's like, hello, Don't mind me.
Something Austin Powers would do.
Right.
Which is where all my British
Poor
knowledge comes.
FDR is like, oh dear.
This is going to be that kind of meeting. Huh?
Right.
All right.
This is
Question
taking a
number
strange
5.
turn, this one. Like, you never know where it's going.
Question number 5. Which
God, I hope some
one.
really smart person doesn't get on here and be like, Sean answered every one of those things, every one of those historical things. We're completely wrong.
Oh. Question number 5 comes from M. Zadaretsky. Zadaretsky. After a dog that is fearful of strangers has been fully e-collar trained with all commands like hail, recall, place, walking on prong, would you expect the dog to start making right decisions for itself?
All I can think about are World War II questions.
I know.
Can you read it to me again? I'm sorry. Sorry, guys.
When I read the name, I was like, that sounds kind of like...
Right.
Okay. After a dog that has been fearful of strangers has been fully e-collar trained, right?
Yeah.
Would you expect the dog to start making right decisions for himself? If we have someone over that the dog is not familiar with, would we have her go into place and just exist around the people, which has surely benefited her? Prior to the protocols and training, she'd just consistently bark.
Right.
With that in mind, so now they've been doing that. They've been having, when people come over, they just have her hang out in place.
Chewing on my cyanide pill.
Okay.
I'm done with this.
With that in mind, what point, so they've done that.
Yeah.
So the flooding with strangers has worked, and she's been great. She's
Great,
been just
great.
existing or going to places.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, at what point for a vet visit or intro to a stranger do you release from place, and what is the best next step? Would a food protocol be a next logical step?
Read that, go back to that one last line.
She's just saying, basically, when do they start releasing the dog to go meet strangers, as opposed to like leaving her in place? Would a food protocol be a next logical step? As a side note, after the dog has seen someone more than once, she's much more comfortable, and after a few visits, she's very loving. Thank you.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Boy, this is such a personal thing. It's such a unique thing for each dog. I've seen dogs like Malu, who is, Henri's dog.
Yeah.
She struggles with fear issues. She's been fully trained, and with certain people she still struggles. Certain people she's okay with. So this is where you can kind of run into a non-generalized, non-universal thing, where certain people can provoke certain reactions from your dog, and it could confuse you or baffle you and be like, well, she was really great yesterday, and you might be thinking it's like, it's something today, but it's not. It's the person.
Right.
It's the context of the environment. It's two people. It's whatever somebody said or the energy they came in with. So, boy, if you've got a fearful dog, I always err on the side of being extra cautious, taking more and more time, and letting the dog give you such crystal clear signals about, I'm really interested in that person, rather than you creating the introduction. I'm just such a big fan of the dog giving you a clear signal saying, I'm good now, I'm ready, right?
Yeah.
Rather than if you bring a dog up on leash, yes, the dog's being guided by you and led and all that stuff is good, but the dog's still on leash and doesn't really have a choice. I mean, it can still like pull back, but a lot of dogs will just kind of move with you, but it'll move with you very tensely and be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You could do food protocols and things like that, but if the dog's not ready emotionally, the food protocols won't have any value. So a couple things that I would add to this is that if you really want to do food protocols and you want them to have high value, the only way that food protocols with heavy fear stuff works is if, for one, I guess there's a couple options. Do really high value stuff. If your dog's super food motivated, that might help. Or the dog only gets food from strangers, which is really hard to do because that means your whole lifestyle has to be built around like making sure there's enough strangers coming through to make sure that you can feed your dog. We can do that in board and trains because we can kind of control the situation. And then the dog only eats in certain contexts, which helps really build positive associations with things.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah.
Like a minute?
Yeah.
I would just say, you guys are doing great. Don't push it right now.
Don't mess it up.
Yeah, just if the dog's been fearful of strangers, they're nervous around strangers, they're basically showing you right now, look, this is my limit right now.
Yeah.
The dog doesn't need to meet people. The dog is fine. If the dog's in place, and soon, like, you'll get to the point, I think you'll really see it in your dog that there's just more of a relaxed thing when the people come in. People come in, your dog's on place, like, you don't even have to send them to place. The dog's just like, oh, look, people, great. And then you could be like, break or free, and the dog just like wanders up and sort of sniffs them or whatever. But instead of forcing the issue, I would just like,
or even making that like a big priority.
Yeah,
like they've got, my dog has to interact. No, I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, I would just ease off of that and just be like, look, my dog's doing awesome. You guys have done such great progress. Don't worry about it. Like, it's not a priority for the dog's not going to become not social with humans. The people that come over aren't going to be like, oh my God, I didn't get to spend my time with your dog. It's
right.
Just let the dog be cool, and you'll see the difference. Like I said, you'll see the difference of the dog doesn't care. The person comes in or shows interest, and then you can release them. But like, don't be like, okay, my next logical step is, or you know.
You're 100% right. Yeah. No, so the existence part is like, you can almost never go wrong with the existence, even if it's like really protracted, because all it does is create the opportunity for dogs to become, think about existence this way, and then I'll wrap it up. And that's like, dogs in place, humans come in, dog doesn't have an option or doesn't have any stress related to like, I've got to assess that person. My only option is to sit here and hang tight. What ends up happening is over time, the existence of seeing new people with no pressure and no stress related to it makes people no big deal, which then gives you the gateway to like, oh, maybe down the line you'll start to see behavior where the dog's in place and like, right?
Happy,
and then you're like,
easy.
oh wow, that looks really different. There's a big difference between the dog being like proactively like, wow, this feels really good, and you saying like Laura said very well, the next step of our progress is meeting people.
Like that, you're saying, what's the next logical step? But you sound like a trainer. I mean, that's awesome, but I would just ease back.
Absolutely. More existence, more time, let it roll, and let your dog tell you when it like moves into that space, but don't be focused on that next step. Like, it's like, we always say, your dog doesn't need dog friends and human friends. It just needs you.
It just needs you.
Your dog will be great.
Let it trust you. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that helps.
We only got through 5, so.
Is that it?
Yeah, we have to go.
Oh shit, wow. So we talked a lot about, you know.
Well, they learned a lot about World War II.
Let's hope. Otherwise, I like misled everybody terribly about like, I think I got Hermann Goering right.
Yeah,
he was a pig of a man. He would like raid wine. So, well, I mean, like he was like a big overweight guy, and he would like literally like.
I gotta go. We gotta seriously go.
This is fascinating.
We were like, we'll put a pin in this. So for the next 5 episodes, we're gonna add a question. To make up for this.
Okay.
We love you.
And just real quick, just to revisit.
Real quick.
What was it, the Lindenbergh trials? I just want everybody to just hold on to that one. Guys.
Oh my gosh, we never introduced the show.
By the way.
Quickly go.
Hey everybody, it's Sean from The Good Dog. And this to my left is the lovely Laura Morgan with her nails that are...
some new blush color.
Those are cool. They almost look purpley.
Yeah, they're kind of violet.
Blush?
Violet blush.
I would say they were purpley violet. No, I don't see the blush, but they go with your drawers too.
Yeah,
nice. Nice work on the combination. And all this stuff that you can't see, Cujo, who we're keeping an eye on because he could be like a double agent, is the Good Dogs Q&A Saturday episode 122 and 123, also known as the Big Fat Lie.
122 and 123. Hold up the one.
Hopefully it's been educational in some way.
Big Fat Lie.